Good morning, 7th graders. I hope that you guys had a great weekend. We actually had a couple nice days, so I hope you were able to get outside and hang out, but this morning looks kind of rainy, so good day to tackle some of your new work from us. So usually at school, when I talk about volume and surface area, I have all of my shapes and different objects to look at so you guys get a nice visual. But at home, I didn't bring all that stuff home. So today we're going to talk about surface area, and surface area, the formula gets a little bit more complicated. It's not super hard, but you do have to understand what we are finding. So I brought my can of pears here to show you what we're going to do with surface area. So we're working with cylinders, of course, and when we find surface area, we are going to find the area that it takes to cover both the top and the bottom and all the way around. So it's kind of like we're going to wrap this can up for a gift for somebody. So what shape are the bases? It's a circle. Can you find the area of a circle? Yep, that's our radius. Our radius times pi, squared times pi. And how many circles do we have? 1, 2. Okay. So then what's kind of interesting is I've taken the label off of this can. Don't go do this in your parents' pantry because they will not know what you have labeled. So here I have this off, and what shape is this label? If you guys can see, I'm going to move my iPad up just a second here. It's a rectangle. So when you find the area of the rectangle, it's your length times your width, or width times length, however you want to picture it. But the thing that we have to understand is that on this shape, our length is actually the circumference. So when I have this out here, this one side is the circumference. Well, what's this side right here? Some of you guys might be saying it. It's the height of that cylinder. So when you are going to find the surface area, you have to find the circumference, and then usually they give you the height. And so you are going to use those things plus the base plus the other base to get your surface area. Okay, so I have our surface area in class notes out from our circle cylinder unit. We're going to keep working on this together. So today we are going to find the surface area. And surface area is the sum of the area of the lateral faces, which is our label, and the area of the bases. The lateral surface area is the sum of just the areas of the lateral faces. So lateral surface area is the sum of the areas of just the lateral faces. Well, you don't have to add these up, it's just going to be the lateral area. So they kind of split it into two different parts. They have all the parts of our circle labeled. And it says the total surface area, and they just represent it with an S, is the lateral surface area plus 2 times the area of the base. So this is the area of the base. This is just to help you remember. And then we have, there are 2 bases. That's where that 2 comes from. So the reason why we have 2 pi r is because this is the circumference. And this is your height. So those are the two sides of that rectangle that we talked about. And they do represent the lateral surface area separately, okay? But the total surface area is the sum of both of them. So today we're going to have you practicing finding the surface area and the lateral surface area, and then it's just going to all use just one. Now the cool thing is, when they give you a formula, you can just plug things in and solve it. Okay, you don't have to try to figure this out every single time. You just have to understand how that formula works. So again, the lateral surface area, this is the circumference, and this is the height. Okay, so now we're gonna go to our examples. Okay, so use these formulas. Use them. If we're going to find the total surface area, we're going to use 2 times pi times r times h plus 2 times pi times radius squared. So I am going to plug this in. Do I have the radius? I do. So it's going to be 2 times pi times the radius, which is 5, the height, which is 12. And I actually think I'm going to use parentheses here. 2 times pi times the radius, which is 5. And you're just going to square the 5. You're not going to square the entire thing. So I'm going to do these two parts separately in my calculator. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply all my numbers first, just to show you what this looks like. So 2 times 5 is 10, times 12 is 120. 120 pi plus 5 squared is 25. 2 times pi times 25, I can multiply the numbers. 2 and 25 is 50. Okay, so now I'm going to put this in my calculator. We aren't going to round till the very end of the problem. So 120 pi plus 50 pi equals, and then I am going to round to the hundredths. So our surface area equals 534 point. The 0 after the 7 does not do anything to it. Rounding to the hundredths. And then we have inches. We were working in volume, but this is area, so we're back to squared. There we go. Okay, so your next problem here, we're just going to find the lateral surface area. So the lateral surface area, our formula is L equals 2 pi r times h. Plug in what we know. We can leave the 2 there, we can leave the pi there, the radius is 5, and our height is 12. If you look, we already did it. So that is 120 times pi. Put that in my calculator, 120 times pi. 376.99. The 1, if you guys can see it, does not make the 9 go up. and this is inches squared. So I'm just practicing putting them into my equation. So now we're going to do the next shape. Now I noticed that some of you used this 4 when you used your volume formula, but our volume formula and our surface area formula calls for the radius. So if my diameter is 4, that means my radius is half of it, which is 2. So make sure you find that, okay? The radius is just halfway across. Okay, so again, start with your formula and plug things in. So my surface area formula, 2 pi RH plus 2 pi radius squared. Plug in what we know. 2 pi, my radius is 2. My height, even though it's sideways, is the distance between the bases, which is 3. And then it's 2 squared, sorry. And then I'm going to solve it. I like to simplify my numbers first if I can. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12. So I've got 12 pi plus 2 squared is 4, times 2 is 8. Now the reason I do this is so that I can put it in my calculator in one step and not have to worry about rounding it all beforehand, plus 8 pi. So my surface area, equals 62.83 feet squared. So now we're going to do the lateral surface area. Two pi RH. And if we do 2 pi RH, we can just plug in what we know. It's actually right here. 2 pi, the radius is 2, and the height is 3. Two times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12, so 12 pi, which I actually have right here because that's part of the surface area formula. 12 pi gives me 37. And then this, the 9s actually make that 6 go up to a 7. And then this is feet squared. Now, good question that you should always, this is the way you can check your work. Should the lateral surface area be greater than the surface area? And the answer is no, because a lateral surface area is just this label. The total surface area is the label plus the top of the can and the bottom of the can. So the lateral surface area should always be smaller. And if you look at both of ours, is it smaller? Yep. So 37 is definitely smaller than 62.83. Okay, so we've got 2 more to do together. I'm going to go through our formulas. These are formulas that I technically don't even have memorized. When I find the surface area of something, I always just break down the shapes. So I'm going to go back to my sheet. Lateral surface area is 2 pi RH. Is 2 pi RH plus, and then 2 pi R squared. 2 pi R squared. So when I approach this problem, Do I know the radius? I don't. I know the diameter. So the diameter is 30. The radius is half of that, which is 15. So we're going to plug this in. So 2 times pi times the radius, which is 15, times the height, which is 25, plus 2 times pi times the radius squared. So 2 times 15 is 30. 30 times 25 is 750 pi. So what I'm doing is I'm adding all the numbers, or I'm multiplying all the numbers except for the pi. 15 squared, 15 times 15 is 225, times 2 is 450. So 450 pi. And then I put that in my calculator. So 750 pi plus 450 pi gives you 3,769.91 centimeters squared. Okay, so the lateral surface area is just this first part of the equation. So 2 pi r times h. Remember, when numbers and letters are written next to each other, that means multiplication. So the lateral surface area is 2 times pi. My radius is 15. My height is 25. So again, it's going to be 2 times 15 times 25, which we know is 750 pi. And then you're just going to use your calculator. 750 pi equals 2,356.19 centimeters squared. Okay, and we've got one more example. We are given the radius in this problem, so we don't need to find it. And our height is 21. So again, we're going to use our formula. Surface area equals 2 times pi times radius times h plus 2 pi radius squared. Plug in what we know. 2 times pi, my radius is 8, my height is 21, plus 2 times pi times my radius squared. 2 times pi, oops, I should do some math here. 2 times 8 is 16, so 2 times 8 times 21 is 300. I'm going to cross this off. 336 times pi plus 8 times 8 is 64. 64 times 2 is 128 pi. And then I'm going to 336 pi plus 128 pi gives us 1457.70 is what happens. 1457.70, and it's inches squared. And then if you go to the lateral surface area, remember it's just this part. 2 pi r times h. 2 times pi times radius, which is 8, times the height, which is 21. We know what this gives us, so we did it right here. So we're showing your work is helpful. And then we just plug that in. 336 times pi equals 1055.58 inches squared. Okay, so that is the end. I know this video is a little bit longer, but you guys made lots of mistakes on the volume, so I just want to make sure that you're paying attention and doing everything correctly here. Make sure to send me questions as they come up. You guys are going to be doing an IXL assignment, and I'll post that on the Google page, and I want you to finish this surface area homework. There's just 4 problems there for you to do, work out, and then I have another maze for you. Okay, these are kind of fun. They're just good practice. Obviously, these all round to nice numbers, but not all surface area problems do. We use pi. So do those pages, and that is the end of, well, actually, we have a review. We'll do this together. Okay, so keep these until I ask for them. IXL, a couple notes. You're going to use 3.14 for pi. They want you to type that in instead of using the pi button. Round to the nearest hundredth. If you don't do that on IXL, you're going to start making mistakes. Okay, I will post the rest of your stuff. Thank you guys. Have a great day.